Hey, what is up, my friends? I'm Toby Wayne. This is Toby Wayne Studios, and at least the bench portion of my studio. And tonight I figured I've got to get ready for Cherry City Comic-Con. I have my Comic-Con coming up here in a couple of weeks, so the next couple videos you might see are going to be me basically pouring resin. But anyway, with that being said, I'm going to pour up, I think, one of my stubs. I'm going to pour up one of these Deadpool mini busts. And maybe if I have a little extra, I'll pour up one of these unrest magnets. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to baby powder my molds. And baby powdering is important because it breaks the surface tension of the silicone and the resin, so the resin will flow a little easier. And it's just a good thing to do as well, because it also helps, I think, in releasing the resin from the mold. One of the things I wanted to show here on this mold here is if you take a close look here at the little vent here. This is important, and I'll cover this in another video, but as you see, there's a little bit of a vent from the tip of his elbow or his little arm stub there to his body. And basically what happens is you pour the resin in, here, and then it flows in, and the bubbles would get trapped and cause big bubbles right there. So basically the resin flows in and then it comes up, hits this little channel, and then flows up in there. So this will actually cast, because all the rest of it's pretty good. And then there you see the other half to that. So, and also I cut a mold a little added seam right there so the air can escape and it won't clog up in here too much. There's a couple little bubbles that happen right here, but the air valve here helps to break up those bubbles in there. And what really sucks about this is I know I'm usually really good about writing down the amount of resin that's needed for each piece, but for some reason I know the resin's on this guy, but I don't remember what it was for this Deadpool, so that kind of sucks. So we're going to have to eyeball that. So I may end up having to mix up another smaller little batch of resin, or I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with that yet. I can guesstimate, but we'll see. So I know for a fact that it is 1.3 ounces of side A and side B for stubs. So we're going to go ahead and just get that measured out and weighed out. Okay, so here's side A. There's 1.2 and 3. So there's 1.3. And let's get side B going here. There's 1 ounce, 1.2, and 1.3. And I've calculated that this is going to give me the perfect amount of resin for a stub. So I'm going to go ahead and make quick work of this. The key with this stubs mold is to make sure that I get a nice thin stream, because this thing is a pretty small opening. So you'll see what I'm talking about here in a few minutes. Once I get this. And this is a trick here, because I may end up spilling this. I'm hoping I don't. This has a tendency to want to spill from these little cups, so I may end up transferring it over to a big one here. Let's see here. These little cups are terrible, and I mean they're awesome because they're nice plastic cups, which are great, but the problem is that it, like I said, has a tendency to hit that lip and then just roll right down the side. So this is the perfect amount of resin for this stub, so I really didn't leave myself any room for error. So wish me luck, my friends. So there's that little stream I'm talking about, and I can't tell if I'm in frame or not, so I apologize for that. And with this stuff, you got to be a little careful, because if you spill it, it wants to go everywhere. And also, if you waste a lot of time stirring it, it could have the potential to fire off before you get it poured all the way in, which is no fun. I can feel that cup getting nice and hot, so that means that the chemical reaction is working. And I'm looking to see if I can see that resin filling up to the top, and there it is. And basically this little area that I'm pouring right there is just the little spout. So if it doesn't quite cast right there, then I'm okay. I did have a little extra resin in there, but I'm not gonna use that because I don't really have anything that I can pour right offhand. So I'm just going to very gently set this aside, and now I'm going to baby powder up the inside of my Deadpool mold. This is just my little one here, so get a little bit of baby powder in there. Hope everybody's having a good day. I'm just working long shifts. I'm working 10-hour days at my day job, and so as you can imagine, I come home just in time to make dinner for my wife and myself, and then try to find the motivation to come out here and work. So that's the challenge right there, my friends. Motivation. I'm all motivated when I'm at work. Then as soon as I get home, and I'm all even gung-ho on the way home, and then I get home and I'm like, I have a nice lazy boy chair that I call the black hole of death for productivity. That will ruin your evening, or make it really amazing, however you want to look at it. And so once I sit in that, and I have this really nice heat blanket that I put in there, so once I sit my fat little butt in that chair, say goodnight, sweet Arlene. Actually, I don't like that rubber band. That one's too big. I'm going to put a couple more rubber bands on this thing, and then I got to guesstimate what I'm looking at for my amount of resin, and I don't know, to be honest. So if you guys, I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's the seam line. Let me get a pointer here. So right there is the seam line, and you can see the cut, and it goes all the way down inside of there. Terrible, terrible angle, I'm sure. But anyway, the point is to make sure that that's lined up as best you can. That's going to eliminate your seam. Or you're going to have a seam, but it's going to really help if this thing is lined up and to the point where you can't even really see it. It's just going to be a nice casting. So one of the other things I wanted to point out too, here you see the resin has fired off, and I want you guys to take a good look at this. See how that's foamy? Okay, now what happened is I'm getting to the end of this container of resin, and what happens is air gets inside the resin, and it will produce this foam once it's cured. And anyway, it sucks. I'm hoping that it's just affected here and not on the inside. Here I cast up a couple of stubs earlier, like last week, and they were fine. They didn't have any problems. But this Smooth On, this container of resin, I've actually had for some time, and I can actually see, which is not good. There is a couple little chunks floating around in here, which is telling me that this resin is incredibly old. So I need to try to burn through this as fast as possible. So yeah, we're gonna burn through it as best as we can. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pour up this Deadpool here. I have no idea what to use as far as amount of resin, so we're gonna just do our best to fake it here, and let's go ahead and we'll go with, I know that 3 ounces of each side is going to be too much, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm trying to burn through this resin as fast as I can. I let it sit on the shelf for a little while, too long, so yeah, I shouldn't have done that. So I just know that 3 ounces is going to be 3 ounces of side A and side B. So let's go with 2.8 of each side, and let's see how well that worked. Okay, so I'm at 2. And there's 2.8. All right. So, and you can even see there's the inside of the resin of side B, and you can see there's some bubbles in there. I even let this stuff sit for a little while before I turned on the camera, and it's still bubbling up. So anyway, yeah, it's time to, and the good news is I've got a brand new case of Smoothcast 320 sitting in there, so that's a good thing. So okay, so let's go. We're gonna go ahead and pour this in. And what do you guys think? Do you think 2.8 is going to be too much resin for this little mold? Or do you think it's not going to be enough? My prediction is it's too much. And I even have it written down somewhere, but I cannot for the life of me find the book so that I wrote it down. And the problem is I've got 2 books that I record information. You would think that I would smarten up after all these years of doing this, but no. We have to make it as confusing as possible. Dadgummit. Yeah, I got Cherry City Comic Con coming up. I'm not sure exact dates. I think it's April 8th, 9th, and April 8th and 9th, or 9th and 10th, one of the two. Basically, what I'm telling you is my time is running out, and I need to get to pouring. So basically, I'm going to be doing some videos on painting next. I kind of go in waves where I pour up a bunch of stuff, and then and then what I'll do is I'll paint up a bunch of stuff. So, all right. So here's that. So what I do is to start is I just go ahead and I pour a little bit in on the side and let it sheen down inside of there. This helps break up the bubbles in the resin itself. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a roto cast of the inside, so it kind of gets a nice coating on all the surfaces as best I can. And this stuff starts to warm up pretty darn quick. Get a nice coat going on in there. And if all goes as planned, I should be able to just pour it in there, and all the little bubbles and everything will kind of just rise to the top. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this real quick. And this one may look like Swiss cheese, and I hope it doesn't. Oh, we had plenty of resin left. But it's good that I'm burning through this stuff, because like I said, it starts to foam up, and the problem is it foams up on the bottom, and you see all those bubbles rising. So this stuff is really at the end of its cycle. I'm gonna just nope, I'm not gonna do that. Look. That stuff is firing off. I almost poured this one up real quick, but I chose not to, and I'm glad I didn't, because it would have been in mid-pour. So basically I wasted, you know, a good chunk of resin here, but que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. Here you see, and this is a prime example of that old resin. See how it's Swiss cheesy looking? This isn't a big deal because I'm just going to grind it, and I'll grind the bottom of it here, so not a big deal. But this is not ideal. You do not want to have this. So, yeah, this resin is just about to the end of its life. I'm not even sure if I'm going to keep using this, to be honest, because I do have that other container of resin in there. The stuff's still nice and hot and pliable. And you see how it just pops right out. So anyway, well, what I'm going to do is I guess what I can do is demold this little guy. And we'll see, because he's cooled down now. Time has gone by. So now the question is will it cast? Did I capture all the detail that should be caught? Or did I miscast in there by catching big air bubbles because of this resin being so old? Alright, here we go. Ready? So we're going to go ahead and just break the seal here. I'm actually going to zoom in on this. So we're breaking the seal. And there's Stubbs, and look at that. This is a classic great casting. There's that vent I was telling you about. There's that tiny little vent that I was telling you about where the air escapes. There's my main vent. And then of course there's Stubbs. And so let's just go ahead and demold the back half. And he just pops right out. So this mold actually has a kind of a lip on it that I'm not super happy with. I do plan on remolding this Stubbs and just cleaning one up and remolding them, because I'm not very happy with how the seams went, and the mold actually had some issues and it kind of washed away some of the detail. So I'm going to go ahead and remold this guy up and clean up everything, and then clean him up and then remold him, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So Stubbs turned out pretty nice in this casting. And then what I'll do is I can just snip that off, and then this just pops right off. There's that. And it's still pretty hot, but I'm looking to wrap this video up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very gently demold. Normally I would give it a few more minutes, but I'm wanting to go ahead and finish this video up. Okay, wish me luck on this one, because this resin's looking pretty worn. So I'm going to very carefully and gently remove this, break the seal. Yeah, pulling this early was probably a bad idea. Okay. This is an excellent learning lesson, my friends. This is why you do not pour or pull your resin early. Notice how it didn't cure 100% here, up here, the back of the head. This little area didn't cure. I should have known better, but I did this for you guys. I did this for you. I mean, I knew what I was doing. Anyway, yeah, that sucks. Notice the uncured areas, my friend. But this is a good video. This is a good one. So lots of good things happened in this video, even though this didn't work. But yeah, poor resin, you know, very old, bubbly. And I demolded this before I should have. So, what did we learn today? We learned I poured too much resin for this. My resin is getting old. And I learned not to demold this so early. So, anyway, thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I truly appreciate it. Please don't judge me. I appreciate that very much. I see all the new subscribers to the channel. So, thank you guys so much for that. I just also I do want to show you this really quick if I can. I don't know how well this is going to pick up, but yeah, I don't think it's going to pick up that well, but you can barely see the resin that has uncured in there. So now I'm going to have to let that cure, and then I'll pull it deep, you know, clean it all out of there and all that good stuff. So anyway, thank you guys so much for your support and your love and sharing these videos and for being a part of my channel. I truly appreciate it. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you in the very next video.